So, welcome back to episode 4 of our Unity tutorial session. We'll be continuing from where we left off. Today, we'll be working on menu design and menu or UI design with Unity. And let's get right to it. So, you open your Unity project and then we'll clean up the workspace a little. We just need a scene view this time. We'll create a new scene, call it menu, and open the menu. So we wouldn't need to be in 3D view this time. So what we will do is that most menu designs are flat 2D renders. Some are 3D, but what we'll be working with is purely 2D. So we'll create a UI element. There's a UI cascading menu here, and we'll click canvas, just like art menu UI to display it on the canvas. So on canvas, you click UI and panel. And panel basically works as your entire screen. So the panel fills up the canvas, which is the screen. So the canvas has elements such as canvas scaler, screen space overlay, which is the render modes, which I'll explain in a separate video. The sort order. So the sort order talks about assuming you have a number of canvas, which one takes the highest priority, or hierarchically which one has what priority. The higher the sort order, the higher the priority of the canvas. The target display. Assuming you have more than one camera, the camera assigned to that specific canvas becomes your display that you want the canvas to. And if I have no camera, meaning I wouldn't be displaying anything, whether on the canvas or in my scene or wherever. So you realize you're still in 3D space, which is not what we want. So we would enter 2D mode, and then on canvas you can press F. That focuses on the canvas. You can use the scroll button on your mouse to enlarge it on your scene view, and then we only need directional lights because the canvas doesn't really need directional lights, so you can put that off. And we have to turn back the camera on. You can still see it's foggy. That's because the panel is transparent. So what we'll do is I will click the image element on the canvas, on the color on the image element on the panel, and then we reduce its opacity. That makes it much better, but it's still gray. That's because of the background sprite. Now a sprite is a texture element or a picture when it comes to game design. We'll talk about sprites in a separate video. So click none, and then canvas panel. So that basically gives you your plain surface. So what we'll do now is we'll work with patterns. So UI and then a button. So you realize that each of the UI elements have this dots at the edge of their transform. So UI elements, unlike normal game objects, have Rect transforms, unlike regular game objects which have your basic transform class or element. So a Rect transform, just like a regular transform, also determines the position and scale and size of your UI element on a canvas. Yeah, on a canvas. So these, just as it has a rect transform, it has a rect tool. So this rect tool allows you to also do the same things that the rect transform tool would. So we have a position on the x, a position on the y, the width and the height. You can play with this stuff by yourself. Now your anchor preset, so this is your anchor, this is your pivot. So your anchor determines the position, particular position of the screen you want your pattern, your elements to be. If you press Alt and you select any of the positions, it will move that particular element there. If I select this, it just goes to the left bottom corner, right bottom corner, top left, top right, and center. If we want to fill the whole screen, that's this. But that's not what we want anyways. So that's basically it for the Rect Transform. An image element which you can actually add. There's an image element there which you can actually add to any UI element. You can either add it there or just type image and it should add elements onto your objects. So an image element, both on a panel and a button, it allows you to add these particular elements onto that UI element. I think I'm using the word element a lot. Anyways, so it has a source image, color, materials, raycast, targets, etc. etc. So the source image determines the particular sprite you want the button, your UI element, whatever, to have. By default, it's a UI sprite. So if you have any other texture in particular you want your button to have or your UI element to have, then you can assign those textures by importing it and then placing it in your source image. The same if you want a particular color. The color element has your basic RGB and alpha, so you can assign all of that. It has a pattern element because it is a button, so it has basic features a button should have. It has an interactable, which means that is a button going to be interactable. Can you select it? The button selectable. So this comes in handy maybe when you're creating a video game where some levels are locked and then you don't want them to be selected, but you want the buttons to still be there. There are a number of transitions you would want a button to have. By default, a button is on color tint. Color tint means that when you run the game, depending on whether it's a button selected or not, highlighted or not, pressed or not. If it's pressed, it goes into a deep gray color. If it's not, it's a dull gray. If it's highlighted, or because I've pressed it, it's not moving into highlighted. So these determine the types of colors you can assign to those transitions. There are a variety of transitions like sprite swap. So what sprite swap does is that it allows you to determine what pictures to swap when maybe you select. So maybe if the button controls sound and then there's a sound image by default, which is your source image. There's a sound on. There's a sound on image, which is on your source image. Then when I highlight it, to show that if you highlight it, to swap your current image with maybe a sound off image, and when you press it, it turns off. All those can be adjusted through code anyways. So that's what sprite swap does. And animation, if you want a particular animation to okay, but for this particular video we work with color tint because it's a basic menu design. In the description below, in the comment section below, you can comments or send a video maybe of any menu design you want us to create, or send me a link to any menu design you want to create and I might make a video on it. Okay, so the button element by default has a child text object below. So what this text object does is that displays the kind of text the button holds. So for this, we would work with start, meaning I want this button to move on to our next, our game, which we were working on. So, and the button should match its implementation. The button should do what should the name of the button should match what it does. So this is a start button, right? Yeah. So these are the basic features the button. This is a basic UI design. There are other UI designs, maybe if you want a basic text. So the text element allows you to write text. So we would want maybe this or at the top of the screen. So all we do is on the anchor, press Alt and move it to the top. You realize it's at the top now. You can click it and drag it down a bit, increase the size a bit, send it back to the top and drag it back down again. And in the text element, you can maybe type the name of the game. Let's call it maybe roller or ball maze. Well, I'm not that creative, so maybe this name should do. So you can increase the size and then center it. Whatever name you decide to use, that's totally on you. So these are basic elements in a UI. Should have maybe the name and a button that does something. So just as the button has a name, they should also have a name. So ball maze. So I think I'll drag this down a little bit, maybe to the bottom, and drag it up a little bit. Yeah. So that's basically your basic menu design. We'll increase the start a bit bigger. It's already at the center. Yeah. That's quite, yeah, that's it. Now let's write some code. So this would let's write some code so that this will move on to the next level. Yeah, I think I would implement the code in the next video because of time. Thank you for watching.